Du Bois County is once again looking for a solid waste management director. We'll bring you the latest on that. Plus, flooding roads are slowly reopening across our area. We bring you an update, and Nick Stevens and Jim McFall talk about Saturday's Garden Gate Jazz Festival tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin tonight with Du Bois County once again searching for a new solid waste management director. Officials say David Flynn recently resigned from that position. They say he left to take a government job in Somalia. Flynn served as a U.S. Marine for more than 20 years and attained the rank of lieutenant colonel. He also worked as a short-term private security contractor in several places, including Iraq and Afghanistan, a role that he served in prior to coming to Du Bois County. Greg Kendall is the head of the Du Bois County Solid Waste Management Board. He says Flynn did a lot to help the county.
We really hate to lose him. He's really, I thought a really good find for us. He did a great job, and really hate to see him go. But when the country calls, sometimes you have to go. And he has a certain specialty with the military that was evidently needed. Like I say, we wish him the best. We hate to see him go.
Now, Flynn's departure marks the third solid waste director to leave the county within the last year. The 49-year-old replaced Lee Kraft back in August. Kraft passed away after suffering a heart attack, and he replaced Tony Lubers last February. Longtime solid waste employee Bill Pennington will serve as the facility's interim director. Pennington says he has no interest in taking over the permanent position. Meanwhile, Kendall says the board is looking to find Flynn's replacement as soon as possible.
We had a couple of people that were very highly qualified that were in the field, so we will possibly talk to them to see if they're still interested in possibly taking the position. And we'll just have to wait and see how this comes out.
The Solid Waste Management Board is set to hold a meeting next Wednesday at 7 a.m., at which time Kendall says they hope to have a replacement in place. Meanwhile, residents are asked to schedule an appointment to drop off any items at the processing center located along County Road 350 West. You can do that by calling 481-7040. The center is open from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. each day. In other news, 2 Pike County men were taken into custody after breaking into a local hotel. Jasper police were called to the Ramada Inn just after 9:50 yesterday morning on a report that the bar and office had been broken into overnight. Police say various alcoholic beverages were stolen from the bar. They later caught up with 31-year-old Adam Gray and 33-year-old Jeremy Evans, both of Otwell, and found that both men had been responsible for the break-in. Gray and Evans were taken into custody and were lodged in the Du Bois County Security Center. They are each facing a Class D felony for theft and a Class C felony for burglary. A Jasper man was arrested early this morning for possession of drugs and paraphernalia after he was pulled over for driving with an expired plate. Just after 6 a.m., a Jasper police officer stopped a car driven by 27-year-old Stephen Chumley for the expired tag and discovered that Chumley had a suspended license. Chumley was taken into custody, and while completing an inventory of the car for impound, police found marijuana and paraphernalia in the vehicle. Police charged Chumley with driving while suspended with a prior and possession of marijuana and paraphernalia. He was booked into the Du Bois County Security Center. Officials with the Indiana Department of Transportation say some roads remain closed across the area due to high waters, but that list is shrinking slowly. In our area, State Road 161 between State Road 66 at Hatfield and State Road 62 at Dagonia Springs in Warwick and Spencer counties has now been reopened. Other roads do remain closed, however. These are State Road 257 between Washington and Otwell, State Road 358 between Edwardsport and Plainville, State Road 550 between Lagodi and Lacey, State Road 450 between Shoals and Bedford, and State Road 66 in 2 different places. These are between Rocky Point and Derby, and between Derby and Sulphur. Cher Elliott is the Media Relations Director for INDOT's Southwest District. She says even after the water is off of the roadway, there is more work to be done before a flooded road can be reopened.
As soon as we see that the water is completely off the roadway, because actually flows and runs over the road. Once we see that's done, we'll actually go out there and we have to plow off the mud and the gunk and get all the debris off of there and patch anything that needs to be patched. You know, we check the shoulders because they usually wash out a little bit, and then we open the road. But whether it's at night or the weekend, as soon as we know the water's gone, we're out there and take care of that.
INDOT, as always, is encouraging drivers to turn around and never drive through flooded roadways. They say 6 inches of standing water is enough to stall a vehicle, and most vehicles will float in a foot of water. You can call 1-800-261-7623 to check on the latest road conditions. You can also go online to trafficwise.in.gov, or you can visit INDOT Southwest's Facebook and Twitter pages. Speaking of road work, patching work continues for potholes along State Road 257 in Pike and Davies counties. Work began 2 weeks ago on the stretch of highway, which has seen many potholes crop up after the harsh winter across our viewing area. Elliott says progress has been smooth thus far, but several factors will determine how quickly the work gets done.
Again, the weather is just always a factor in any activity that we do. We have to make sure that the roads are dry so we can make those materials be placed adequately, and then that they'll stay sealed. So, you know, we're just taking it day by day, and we've had quite a bit of rain so far this spring, so we'll just have to see where it goes from here.
Now, INDOT officials say this will not be the final repair for State Road 257. Once the patching is complete, crews will begin milling off the top layer of the roadway and will then begin resealing work. All work on the highway is expected to be done in October. That is, of course, weather permitting. Motorists are asked to follow posted work zone speed limits, use caution, and consider worker safety when traveling through a work zone. Finally this evening, as warm and sunny spring weather comes our way, Indiana State Police are warning folks about trash containing meth being left along roadways. Officials with the meth suppression section are specifically warning folks who will be taking advantage of the weather by walking, jogging, and/or riding bikes along the roadways about the trash. They say the trash could contain toxic, flammable, corrosive, or even acidic chemicals. Those chemicals can cause an explosion, fire, or burns if the materials come into direct contact with your skin. There are a couple of tips you need to keep in mind as you are out along the roadways this spring. Avoid any suspicious containers left along the roadway, as state police say the most popular of these is the 1.5-gallon gas can. They say it appears to be new, and people have picked them up thinking that they were new gas cans when they were actually meth labs. Be wary of battery casings, Ziploc bags, empty blister packs, and containers like pop bottles and jars that appear to have granular material in them. And finally, be wary of any type of cylinder found in an odd place like in the middle of a field or in a ditch. If you come across this type of garbage, don't pick it up. You are being asked to call your local state police post instead. Concerns about meth can be directed to the meth suppression section at 877-855-METH, or you can go online to meth.in.gov. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and Inform featuring Nick Stevens and Jim McFall. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.